Well, good afternoon. It's Friday, January 24th, 2020. Journal 272, T+297. Sneaking up on 2 months short of my 1 year anniversary. Realistically, yesterday's post, which never happened, got subverted by my getting fully engaged in a column. I was writing for Ratchet and Wrench, the publication that I contribute to every month in the automotive aftermarket, and it's rare that I'm able to go ahead and start and finish a column in one sitting. Usually, it takes a couple of times. Certainly, it takes a few edits. And this is one of those rare instances where I was able to put the whole thing together in one day. It was a full day. It took a long time, but it was still satisfying, gratifying to get it done all at once. I finished up a diagram which will accompany the column, which is rare. I rarely submit artwork with the columns that I write, but in this particular case, a diagram was appropriate. Before Leslie and I had to attend a funeral. It's an odd thing for me to blog about, but as long as I'm sharing everything else that occurs in my life, it's going to be kind of hard not to think or talk about that when it's taking up so much bandwidth, being so fresh in my mind, at least. The funeral was for an old friend, somebody that we've known for a long time, but unfortunately lost contact with some time ago. And it involved a group of people with whom we had been close, very close at one time. And, as life has a tendency of creating situations like this, we drifted apart with many of them. So in a way, it was really good to see everybody, but in another way, it was really sad under the circumstances. Funerals in general are pretty odd rituals when you think about them, regardless of what religious affiliation you are. They tend to have all of these different customs and just odd mechanisms for bringing a community together and remembering, celebrating, hopefully celebrating a life well lived and remembering the individual, who had passed. And, this was no different. It happens to be at the cemetery that Leslie and I own property. It's where we will be interred. That's a terrible word, isn't it? But I have to tell you something. It was really odd. Unfortunately, at this stage of my life, I've been at a few funerals, some more intimate than others, some more meaningful than others. But this is the first funeral that I've attended post-transplant. It's the first funeral I've attended, I think, since having been diagnosed. And funerals are different when you've kissed death on the cheek and gotten that close to your own. And you've had an opportunity to actually think about what that means and recognize that all of those examples that they use in all the leadership and management books about what would you like people to say about you if you passed, and wouldn't it be great if you could hear those things while you were living. I told you before, this came up once before in another blog. I want people to look at me while I lay there and say, look, he just moved, he's breathing. That's what I want people to say, but realistically that it's not going to happen. But it does give you pause for thought. It does force you to contemplate how you've spent your time on this planet and whether or not you've done it wisely, whether you've done it economically, whether you've been effective in everything that you've tried to accomplish, and whether or not everything you've tried to accomplish is, for yourself or for a broader, more general community or communities. I know I have. Certainly within the automotive aftermarket, to a large degree within my own community. Now, with what I'm trying to do as a volunteer within the context of City of Hope, trying to give something back. In many ways, it's a powerful exercise, and I think that it's worthwhile in the respect that it forces you to really contemplate your place in the great scheme of things and the impact that you've managed to have or continue to have on the world around you and the people you love, the people that love you. So without trying to bring everybody down by talking about something like this, I think it's important when you've had a life well lived and you've participated in your life and you haven't just been a spectator but directly engaged, then it becomes a celebration. And I think that's what it should be, and that's what it has to be, of contribution and impact. And I know that's what I try to accomplish. I hope it's what you try to accomplish. Certainly something for all of us to think about until we get together again next, which will probably be tomorrow. So in the meantime, stay well and take care.